The opinions expressed on the Simone Edwards Show by our guests are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of the station, its owners, and or the Simone Edwards Show and those affiliated with it. In no event will the Simone Edwards Show, this station, its owners, guests, hosts, or affiliates be liable for the information disseminated on the program, including, without limitation, any loss or damage, indirect or otherwise, arising from information presented on the show. We trust you are of legal age and will consult appropriate professionals prior to employing any opinion expressed on the show. Many of the topics discussed are personal in nature, and some people may disagree with the opinions expressed on the show. We are open to your constructive criticism and or ideas for future radio programs. Please feel free to email us at the Simone Edwards Show at gmail.com. Again, that's the Simone Edwards Show at gmail.com. Hey everyone, welcome. We are live once again here at the Simone Edwards Show. It is a beautiful, beautiful sunny afternoon in Southern California, and I'm so excited we are here in studio with the Wyatts, two of my favorite people. I go way back with them. Like, I've been around them for about 16 years. I remember them from, when I was first saved back at North Park and would see them leading worship and just be like, oh my God, those are the Wyatts. So as time would have it, we God blessed our paths to cross, and they are actually here in studio with us. They've been married for over 20 years, have four beautiful children, and so I was honored when they accepted the offer to be a part of our Love and Relationship series. So without further ado, we want to present to some and introduce to others Miss Tinika and Mr. Jason Wyatt.
Hey!
Hello.
It's good to be here.
So before we jump off the deep end, as I call it, let's start off with some getting to know you questions, especially because this is our Love and Relationship series. Yeah. Talk to us about the origin of your love story. How did the two of you meet?
Sweetie.
So we met years ago. I've actually known Jason since I was 12.
Oh, wow.
And we grew up in the same church.
Okay.
And we were actually like brother and sister.
Really?
Yeah.
Kind of weird, but.
Right. Right. He's 4.5 years older than me. So
Okay.
He was like big brother. And, and never saw each other any differently than that, really, until I think once I graduated high school, turned 18, I was in college, and we were kind of on the same level at that point.
Right.
And
She caught up, you all.
What?
You caught up.
Oh, I caught up.
Oh.
So, and it's history from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's around college when everything changed.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want us to get into the story.
Well, you know, we all love a good love story.
Right.
Let me just interject. And
Yeah.
if someone were to say, that we would one day get married, we would have thought that they were crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the kind of relationship we had as really like a big brother and a little sister. But that forged a bond that we had. There was
Okay.
closeness there.
Okay.
Conversation was there. Interaction was there. But intimacy, which, again, would have been weird.
Right.
So...
And it really was weird for our circle of friends.
Really?
Yeah. They were like, what are you guys doing?
Right.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then when we decided to, move from, we didn't go from brother, sister to dating,
No.
of course.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Right.
But we just started to hang out. I remember Jason was going to transfer to a school a little further away, Azusa Pacific. And so that summer, we just like hung out every day.
Wow.
Like
Okay.
literally, we were at the movies, at the park, we were all over the place. And so, just in that process of hanging out and getting really close as friends, and now both being, college age and whatnot. Feelings just started to develop.
Wow.
I could put my husband on blast and show his corniness, but and plus, I say stuff, and then he's like, I don't remember that, so I don't even want him to think, I'm making up stuff. But trust me, what I tell you is the truth.
Simone, her truth.
So truth is relative.
Let me
It's
just
relative
say, though,
retelling of the
do
story.
you remember the Dear Jesus letters? Do you?
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to bring it up. Okay, move
So
on.
what's corny about writing Dear Jesus?
No.
Okay.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm just
Kids,
saying.
write Jesus.
Amen. Right. Stay in touch with it.
Stay in touch with it.
He will save your life.
He will save
Right
you.
to Jesus.
And he will hook you
Call
up.
him, he will hook you up. He knows exactly what you need.
Right.
Right. So what about the Dear Jesus letters? Because now I'm intrigued.
Okay. So since you,
Good.
all right. So we used to make fun of Jason because he would write these Dear Jesus letters.
How
And
they
so-
read Jesus' letters? How she get the letters?
Because you would share them with us. We were familia.
Okay.
So anyway, so again, I was a little bit younger, and I have god sisters, older sisters who are closer to Jason's age, and so I looked at them like, okay, they're more like friends. So, but anyway, as I mentioned, we started to become closer as friends, and so Jason called the house, and I'm assuming he wanted to speak to somebody else, but
Right.
he wants to speak to me. He's like, well, I have a Dear Jesus letter. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So. So I'm kind of like,
Okay.
what's...
Seriously.
See? I'm going to just tell you. Anyway,
Go ahead.
we could ask others.
This is good.
So, yeah. Anyway, he's reading this Dear Jesus letter about someone, right?
Okay.
About the relationship changing, like, oh, I see, her differently and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Where is this going? Where is this going? And so by the end of the letter, he
It's
said...
me, Lord? It's me?
No. See, perspectives are different.
It's
That's
me,
not
Lord?
how that went down.
I'm the one in the letter, Lord?
He said,
Okay, what did I say?
and this is about you. And I was like, oh, okay. So it took me a moment. Babe, you really need to stop.
Praise break.
Need to stop. You need to stop.
Tell them about your praise break.
Anywho, no, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I have not liked anybody liked anybody unless they like me first. Because to me, it's not worth my time.
Girl, high five.
Yeah, if you don't like me, what am I doing? Yeah. So, anyway,
Okay.
when the opportunity presented itself, I had to think about it and say, So anyway, as I mentioned, we continued to hang out and things just kind of evolved, and we really became best friends.
Okay.
And so, and we were dating off and on for like 3 years, but the off was kind of like, we're not dating right now, but what you doing? Like, can we hang out? Where are we going? What are we doing? We spent Valentine's Day together, even when we weren't together.
Right.
It was just difficult.
Not all of them.
There weren't that many of them. Anyway, I'm talking about over the 3 years.
Over the few years.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So, I don't know what he was doing on some of his Valentine's days. I guess really is what he's trying to say. If I wasn't with him, I was with Jesus. I was saved. I was saved.
You didn't have to write Jesus a letter because he was right there.
Right. We stayed in fellowship.
Let me say this, though.
All off your little notes.
Right. While I dated, when we had our intermissions, and I did some dating, the young ladies that I were dating were seriously considered marriage material. It was just, it wasn't just to have someone to have company, but, I was really looking at that point in my life to, settle down and settle in, because I'm trying to do right and be right as well.
Right.
As a young believer.
Right.
And, the one thing that separated my relationship with Tinika from all of the others, and the girls were great, wonderful, will make someone a great, great wife, just not me. They weren't for me.
Right.
But as we started to get closer and even had our breaks, it was like, no, there's something special about what I have with her. Our friendship was always there, and it's always remained.
Yeah.
We could laugh, we could talk, we could share intimate feelings, and it just wasn't about, something that was physical, but, there was a connection there, and I knew that I was better when I was with her than when she was with me. So that separated her from any other person that I dated, and I knew that, this is the one that I needed to make my wife forever.
Okay, so you segued me beautifully into the next question, which
Okay.
is, at what point did you realize that? Like, so you knew, like, okay, there's something different about, I've been with other women, but there's something different about Tinika. I can see a future with her more than I could with. At what point did God show you? At what point did you know, yeah, I want to make her my wife?
I look like a lot of people for the voice to speak from heaven,
Right.
for the paper to fall from the sky.
Right.
But it was just, a combination of things. And taking an evaluation of my relationship with her as I compared it with others.
Right.
And it's not like, there's this litany of others that I'm looking down, but yet even I had some close friends that recognized and said, you know what, Jason, you're better when you're around her.
Wow.
So they saw the difference, and because of her relationship with the Father and our desire to please Him, and make and try to keep some standards,
Right.
with our dating, I saw myself getting into other situations with others, and
Okay.
just made some choices that weren't always best.
Okay.
Nevertheless, things were better with us,
Right.
and aside from anything, we had our friendship,
Right.
Yeah.
and that was the key difference.
That's really good. What about you, Tinika? When did you know?
I thought I was in love prior to being in love with my husband, and that probably would have grown into something, had that relationship continued. But I did notice a difference, as Jason said. I noticed a difference between, and I haven't had a whole lot of relationships, to be honest, but I did notice a difference in my relationship with him because I knew that he wasn't ever going anywhere. Like, even when we were not dating, it was sort of like, and we would laugh like, okay, I don't want to be with you, but I need you to be around. Like,
Okay.
and we could see a future together, whether we were dating or not. And I remember very early on, we had a conversation when we were dating, and it was like, you know what? If this never goes anywhere, if it never leads to marriage, like I like being with you,
Right.
And so over the process of time, you have to weed out I can't be with him and him and him,
Right.
you have to make
can't.
Or her and her. And
well,
Right.
so you have to make a choice. But I knew that if I had not married Jason Wyatt, that whoever I married or ended up with after that, he would always be in my head. He would always be in my heart.
Wow. Okay.
And I knew that I would always have regret.
Right.
And because I don't know what he's doing right now, I'm not paying him any attention. But
I'm in there, y'all. I'm in there.
See, I don't even know what I'm saying right now because he's just
in there, y'all. I'm in there.
Anywho.
Right.
So and not believing in divorce.
Right.
I knew that I had one shot.
Right.
Right.
And I just have to put all my eggs in this basket.
Right.
I knew that I had one shot, and I don't want. And a lot of times we spiritualize it.
Right.
I love how Paul says, that you're free to marry in the Lord.
Right.
Oftentimes we feel like we want one of those Isaac experiences where Abraham sends, where he sends his servant and he goes and finds, a wife for Isaac and everything lines up and he's like, okay, this is God. And I'm not hating on that. That's wonderful because trust me, I had a whole bunch of signs like, okay, God, let the door close to the left. I mean, I'm looking for something special to happen.
Right.
And that did not happen. As Jason mentioned, there was no letter from the sky. There was no thou shalt
Jesus
thundering.
didn't write me back, y'all.
Right. He wrote it. It was in scripture. But anyway.
No scriptures have Tinika.
This is true. You could probably piece it together with a few scriptures, some letters here and there, but
it does say he that
it was
findeth a
really
wife.
right. It was really when you have a relationship with God and you are walking with Him on a daily, it's not necessarily, there may not be that thundering,
Right.
you know, message that you see in the clouds.
Right.
But it is a moving, you know, moving you into a certain direction.
Gotcha.
Right.
Closing other doors.
Gotcha.
And,
Right.
you know, so I knew that it was God. But the rest was up to us to work out, basically.
I really liked what you guys just said. And the next question, we're going to have to wait till we come back from break because
Okay.
I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. But I really liked, especially for our couples who want to be married or for those desiring marriage, that the goal isn't to always look for the writing in the sky because that can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Again.
It really can. Not only can the enemy of your soul trick you, but your
Yes.
own mind can tell
Yeah.
you
Right.
what you want
Right.
and say it's God.
Right.
But it's a matter of praying and then is God moving me in this direction or am I forcing it to go in this
Yeah.
direction?
Yeah. And is it lining up
Right.
with the word?
Speak
You
on
know,
it.
is he really, is he the man that God wants him to be?
Right.
Because if he's not what God wants, then he's not what I want either,
Well, right.
you know?
Right.
And so I know a lot
It
of
goes
us.
both ways.
It does, but
It
I
does.
I know a lot of us, you know, are tempted. I have had friends who said, you know, I'm just gonna get me an unsaved guy because they're just as, you know, these guys in the church are just about the same. Well, no, that they may both have some of the same struggles, but their headship is different.
Right.
You know, the person who is their Lord is different, and so that makes a huge difference
Right.
in your following. So.
Okay. Jason, you were saying that it goes the same for men. So can you just speak to the brothers? We have about 30 seconds before we go to break.
I mean, ultimately, this, you know, Solomon got in a lot of trouble because he liked the strange women. and,
Yeah.
and, you know, again, some of the same challenges that brothers have within the church that are trying to live safe. If you're, you know, the intimacy part, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Right.
But you want someone who believes the same thing, who's striving to be everything that they've been called to be,
Right.
to be that Proverbs 31 woman.
Right.
You
That's
know,
hard.
It's hard. It's hard, but it's hard for
Yeah.
us, but it can be done.
Right.
To at least strive for it.
Right.
And you know, someone that has some standards, it makes it a little easier, you know, to back off again. We're not perfect.
Right.
We're far from it. But someone who submits to the lordship of Jesus Christ is what you want to
Right.
have.
Excellent advice, both of you. You guys, we are going to take a break for station identification. We will be back in probably about 1 to 2 minutes, and we're going to continue this amazing interview. Stay tuned because when we come back, they're actually going to tell us what they thought married life was going to be like before they got married, and now tell us what married life is like now that they are married. So hang tight. We'll be back in just a moment.
You are listening to the San Diego station of inspiration. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. KTAV Radio. For more information on how you can advertise your business, event, or services, please visit us online at ktav.tv or call 619-246-6131.
All right, we are back here in studio with the Wyatts. We've been having kind of a laugh riot during the break. So as promised, we are back in studio, and so we want to talk to you guys because you painted such a beautiful picture about having that relationship that, you know, there's no way that you thought the two of you would end up together, and then God kind of moving the relationship organically in the direction towards marriage. And, you know, the warning against looking for those who are just tuning in, the warning against looking for the sign in the sky or always
Yeah.
having to hear something. So let's segue a little bit and talk to us about your ideologies. So before you got married, what did you think married life was going to be like? Tinika, we'll let you go first, and then Jason.
So I was 22 when we got married, and you know, born and raised in the church, and you know, felt like a little Jesus girl, naive, and I really thought that I could pretty much marry anybody and make it work.
Wow.
I thought that I was going to be a great wife and, be what God has called me to be, be able to talk the right way and serve the right way and love the right way, unconditionally, all of that great, perfect little stuff.
Right.
And so that is a lie.
And I appreciate your transparency because it's really helpful because we all have these unrealistic, whether we admit it or not, we all have unrealistic expectations about areas that we venture off into. And until you get there, you don't really know.
And even after being married, anytime we had an issue, I always felt like it was his fault because I'm a great wife. I don't know what the issue is.
Right.
If he could just get himself together, we would be all right.
Right.
But realizing that, I'm with the love of my life, somebody that I would choose over and over again.
Right.
But still, this is work.
Okay.
Still, this is, and I alluded to it earlier by saying, okay, God, he causes your paths to cross and, hooks you up with the right person.
Right.
But it's still on you to work it out.
Right.
Now the Holy Spirit is there, the Word of God is there, and God, of course, the same way in our walk with Him, He is that help that comes alongside you. But we have a responsibility in this marriage, and so I don't know where I got that ideology from that I was just gonna make it work regardless. But being with the man that I love. And it's still being work, and me still not being the perfect wife, and me still falling short, and not talking the way I, having to come back and say, okay, that wasn't right, and having these long conversations with God where I'm arguing in the corner, like, okay, but no,
right,
and Him having to straighten me out before we actually have a conversation,
right?
Because a lot of the times when we do get together and we deal with some things, you only get this much. All of this been going on, but by the time God works on me.
Right.
Thank you. Work on her, Jesus.
By the time He works on me and we come together,
right.
It's not what I thought it was going to be because I really wanted to tell Him off.
Right.
I really wanted to, but God wouldn't let me.
Right.
So
before we go too far, we go way too far in, I'm glad you said that about the unrealistic expectation and thinking that you would be a perfect wife and it didn't matter who you picked and all that stuff. So before we go into how that has changed, and you kind of gave us a really good preview, Jason, what was your ideology of married life prior to marriage?
34, 20, no, I'm just playing.
Oh.
No. House.
Okay.
My wife shared a lot, and actually we have very similar views. When, as a believer, and I was doing my dating, there were times after reading the Apostle Paul, I thought, wow, Lord, am I going to be a eunuch? What's going on here?
Right,
I know every man has his proper gift, but didn't really know. I did know this once we get married, or once I get married, just like my wife shared, it was a one-shot deal. It's kind of our upbringing, and also what we believe that we read in the Scripture, and believing as well that God can work for and through anybody and work any situation out. But we were really thinking, all right, this is it.
Did you have any expectations of her performance as a wife that was kind of that was unrealistic, or your performance as a husband that was unrealistic prior to marriage?
Not necessarily. I felt like, wow, I'm getting an opportunity to marry my best friend.
Okay.
So this is the person that I want to be with the rest of my life. My wife mentioned earlier that we felt this closeness and this bond that we would have for the rest of our lives regardless. So this was really like, okay, now I'm getting a chance to honor God, and we can go ahead and be intimate, and right. I'm with the person that I love the most. I knew that, I do recall this. I dated several young ladies, and my wife is the most beautiful person that I know. She's extremely attractive and grows beautiful even more every day. I do recall being a bit superficial. And some of the young ladies, as I was joking earlier, there was a style or something that I gravitated towards, some people that I really liked and found attractive. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I remember one day even having a dream. Ran into a very attractive young lady, and she had the stinkiest attitude.
Wow.
And, in my dream, and I said, you know what? You're attractive, but you're far from being beautiful.
Right.
And again, when I held a comparison to my wife to everyone that I dated and everyone that I'd seen and encountered, I said, there is nobody that even holds a candle to this young lady. I need to make her my wife.
Wow.
So as far as my ideology, again, it was a one-shot deal, and we're going to do our best to make it work with the help of the Lord.
That's awesome. So how has your ideologies, have they changed or matured or been refined over the last 20 years?
I want to say, I heard this before, and I agree that women go into marriage expecting their husbands to change. We go in for potential. Men go into marriage hoping their wives don't change. Don't get any bigger. Don't get any smaller. Don't get stinky attitude. You used to let me play ball. Let me keep playing ball. And so, and I believe that. And I think, even though Jason, as is, he was who I loved. But, I was like, okay, well, he can stand to make some changes. And so what marriage was a rude awakening of how selfish I am.
Wow.
Of how unlike God I am.
Wow.
And couple that with parenting also.
Right.
You're not who you thought you were. Because I thought I was going to, I'm this great wife. Like, I'm a catch. Come on.
Right.
Sing that song, you dirty, messed up.
Unfit, right. I thought I had it going on what you took. Right. So,
just dirty. Messed up.
But really, it's God's way of making you more like him, because first you have to realize, no, you're not like him like you thought you were.
Right. That's really good.
I'm not like him at all.
Right.
I was good by myself, but now you put me in a situation where I am with someone constantly, no matter how much I love him, he's going to work my nerves, and he's going to do things that irritate me. Don't do it that way. What are you doing? I want to micromanage. I want to correct, so it is, I have learned that, as I mentioned before, that it doesn't matter who you're with. You could be with the love of your life, and you're going to have to work at it. You're going to have to invest in your marriage.
Right.
And it doesn't get on autopilot ever.
Right.
We can talk to somebody 40, 50 years in, but I'm pretty sure they'll say the same thing.
Right.
It does get easier at some point because we get in a groove and we know each other. But even the thing about that is you have to grow together, because you start to change.
Right.
I'm evolving as a woman. He's evolving as a man, as a person. And so I need to stay in love with him. I need to stay connected, grow with him as he grows, as he changes, and just really work at it, because this is my life we're talking about.
Right.
This is not a one-time, I'm 3 years in, I'm going to take a break. No, this is my life. And so since we are in it for the long haul, we don't want to just be together. We want to make this thing work. We want to thrive, and we want it to be beautiful.
And you constantly see yourself being challenged in the Word.
Right.
My wife brought up parenting as well, and certainly marriage. And, when the Bible says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. And, again, when there is an issue, when there is something that I have a pet peeve about, or when there is some type of offense, again, he just checks me. And he's just pointing me right to the Word. It could be, the scripture of the day, or it could be something that, someone says over the pulpit. It could be in my personal devotional, or again, he'll just speak to me, and it's, you're constantly being checked. Am I loving her? And what I see and experience from her is his grace.
Right.
His love, his mercy, and it's such a beautiful picture of it. You see the relationship that we have, and how it represents what he has and how much he loves his bride, and we're able to, as believers, express that towards one another and share that with one another. So that's been the blessing. That's where the change has come. That's where the growth has come, the maturity has come, and still being perfected. Still being challenged on a daily basis to become more like him. And marriage has helped in that way.
You guys brought out so many salient points. The two that really stand out that we're going to close this segment with before we go to commercial break is the need to constantly evolve with your spouse and to not really get stuck in this, well, this is how you were when I married you. That kind of thing. Or to take on, the disposable plate mentality, where it's kind of like, okay, well, you're not living up to my expectations, so I'm going to get rid of you, rather than, okay, God, what do I need to change? Maybe it's me. Maybe I am micromanaging, or maybe I'm not listening, or maybe I'm not showing grace. That kind of thing. I liked how you brought out about seeing God's grace and God's love through your wife to you, and that you both brought out the importance of realizing that rude awakening of I'm not perfect, and I'm so far away from Christ, and it's easy to kind of say, no, I'm good, as long as it's you. But when you bring another person into the mix and have to live in close quarters, are you living with somebody who you're both working to refine the grace of God demonstrated in your lives? You guys gave us a lot to think about. We will be back in just a moment. We're taking a break for station identification. Give us about 2 minutes and we'll be back. Thank you so much. All right, we are back here in studio for the second half of the Simone Edwards Show. We've been having a blast with the Wyatts. Appreciate their authenticity and transparency to just talk to us about marriage in 2017 with the most relevant book on the planet and letting God guide you through your marriage. So here's a question that I have for you. What has the last 20 years taught you about yourself, and what has the last 20 years taught you about your spouse?
I should have read this question in advance.
Right. Should I lie down? Love is patient. Love is kind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really just seeing that in action, and through life's experiences, through choices, good, bad, and ugly. I have seen that and had the opportunity to express it as well. Again, as my wife mentioned, she wasn't perfect, and Lord knows I'm far from it. We're struggling and striving daily, trying to be more like Christ. But the biggest thing is that I can't do it on my own. I need His help. I need His guidance. I applaud those folks who've been married for 50 plus years, who maybe haven't stepped a day in church in their life.
Wow.
But I need God.
Right.
I know that about myself.
Right.
I know life is full of choices, and I can make choices that could affect my marriage. I can make choices that could affect my relationship with my kids. I could make those choices, but at the end of the day, am I loving her like Christ loves the church?
Right.
When it says to sacrifice, or am I being selfish with the choices that I make? So I'm doing my best on the daily to try to live that out. And he's still working on me and working out of me those things that aren't like him.
Right.
I'm honored that I have a wife that while I'm going through my transition and my transformation and evolving and growing to be everything that God desires for me to be, she's showing grace along the way. She's encouraging along the way.
Right.
She's praying for me along the way. She's pushing me forward along the way. She's challenging me along the way. She's being that example along the way. And I think that it's reciprocal, that we can, work that out and talk that out and ultimately look to the Father to work it out.
That's really good. Tinika?
I've learned a few things. I've learned that I need help with my insecurities.
Okay.
I learned that I need help with being able to love.
Okay.
To love unconditionally. We think we love unconditionally.
That's really good.
But I love you if.
That's good.
I love you when.
Right.
And I love you because of.
Right.
And so when you disappoint me, because when we understand love to truly be action, and we withhold those good actions and those good deeds, then we are loving on condition.
Right.
And so, that is something that I am praying about and just really surrendering to God on a daily, because I see those tendencies, not just with my husband, but mostly with him, because we are one.
Right.
We have that constant, that constant conflict, that constant confrontation. We are, either, he's right there.
Right.
And so if there's an issue, it's going to be with him first.
Right.
And so just learning that, like you said, I need God's help with this.
Right.
No, I need God's help with my marriage, with me being the woman that he's called me to be. And I need my husband. And I think as women, we are the help that is fit, that is meet for our husband,
Right.
And I've said this before, that, Adam needed Eve. God made Eve for Adam. God didn't make Adam for Eve because Eve was self-sufficient. I'm every woman. We can do it all. And so I think a lot of times, especially in today's world, women, we do it all. So we have relinquished our need for man. Right. It's as if, I don't need a man. I don't need a man. I don't need a man. Okay, maybe you don't. I need my man.
Right.
And I have learned that I need him. I'll never forget, there was a time that I was going through an issue, and deliverance came when he prayed for me.
Wow.
Not when I fasted and prayed, but when he prayed for me.
Wow.
And we do sharpen one another. God has put us together because we need each other. There are things that I can't do well, or not good enough, or whatever, and so he compliments me there. There are areas where I am weak, where he will challenge me, and he will cause me to come up like, no, baby, you gotta do better.
Right.
And so I need my husband.
I really like that. And again, the one thing that just keeps coming back to me is a sense of evolution. The other thing that's starting to surface is marriage, a healthy marriage, and that's going to be the next question, really sounds like it begins with it's almost like a surrender to a complete and utter dependence on Christ.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Like that's like it's almost like that's the foundation of a healthy marriage.
Agreed.
So it's been said that the best gift that a married couple can give to their child or to their children is a healthy marriage. Why is that? And define for us, build on that foundation. What does a healthy marriage look like?
I want to answer the why, I think, because every person wants security.
Right.
Everybody wants love and security. And so the fact that I know I can cut up and you're not going anywhere.
Right.
The fact that I know, if I disappoint you, you're not going anywhere.
Right.
That meets so many needs, and that allows me to be free to be myself and
That's
for me
really
to
good.
truly love and be loved.
Right.
And so our kids need that as well, to know that every day they come home, mom and dad are there.
Right.
They need that kind of security. I didn't have that. And so I know what it feels like to deal with that neglect, that abandonment, that uncertainty. Are they going to be fighting today? Or love you, mom and dad. But, kids need that.
Right.
And so even if we've gone places, we go on little trips and whatnot, and we'll come back and they're like, you guys are doing too much. You guys keep going everywhere without us and such and such and such. But even though they're complaining, we know they love it. I'll see little tweets every now and then, from the kids like, the girls, the boys don't care as much. They don't verbalize it.
Right.
But like, I went downstairs and they're all snuggled up. But, just that kind of...
And say this, they're older now, so we get a chance to enjoy the fruit
yeah.
of them being a little older
Right.
and getting away now where we couldn't for the last 20 years.
Wow.
So,
Right.
But
So we're taking advantage
we're
of
taking
it because
advantage
they'll
of
be
it.
gone soon and we
Right.
need to practice.
Right. Exactly.
So, but kids need that security.
Right.
They
Right.
need to know that they are loved and that that no matter what happens on the outside, no matter what happens in the world, when I come home, I have mom and dad. They're loving each other and loving me as a result.
That's good. So talk to us about, define for us, or I should say build on that foundation of what does a healthy marriage look like? It begins with dependence on Christ. What does a healthy marriage look like?
I think one where communication flows freely. Christ has to be and stay at the center because that's where you're really seeing love in action.
Right.
One of the things that I needed to understand about love, and this was early on, and I don't think God allowed me to really have a relationship and get married, as I mentioned, because I wanted to be married. But I needed to understand what commitment was all about.
Okay.
And love is commitment.
Right.
And I think that's healthiness right there. If I can show, because my kids are hearing, I love you, I love you, I love you, am I committed to you?
Right.
Yeah.
That's
do
really good.
do my actions represent something different than what my words are saying?
That's really good.
Of course, my boys, we do our best to emulate how they should treat the women in their lives and respect and cherish and protect and love and all those different things. And my girls, I aspire to be the type of man that they want to have in their life.
Right.
When that guy comes, knocking at the door, of course that fella needs to come through me first, and
Right.
we need to talk.
Yeah.
But that's a different story for a different time.
Right.
Ultimately, though, it goes with how am I treating their mom?
Right.
Am I cherishing her in front of them?
Right.
Am I honoring her above all others
Right.
in front of them?
Right.
Or am I disrespecting her by, hollering at the girl down the street or
Right.
looking at the lady on the television? And again, we see attractive people all the time, but it's about choices.
That's really good.
It's about the choices that we make. So we try to have as much fun as we possibly can.
we do.
And just be us in front of our kids.
I want to add, too, that a healthy marriage is not a conflict-free marriage.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
Right.
Yes.
It's not.
Oftentimes, we try to avoid conflict.
Right.
You can have somebody and say, we've never argued. So you guys sleep in different rooms? Is that what happens? I mean,
Right.
do you guys not interact at all?
Right.
Because it can happen.
It can
Right.
happen.
But if you are together, if we are hand in hand and we are doing things together, there's going to be conflict. We're two different people.
Right.
But that's what God uses to shape us, to mold us, and
me.
to grow us. There needs to be some conflict. There needs to be something that, otherwise I could be by myself.
Right.
If Jason's just going to be, oh yeah, that's great. Oh yeah, do that. I mean, if we're exactly the same, I could have been by myself.
Right.
And we're both in healthcare, in the healthcare industry. So
Right.
one of the best things that to do to remain healthy is preventive. So we try to prevent certain things.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm watching what I say to her and how I say it to her. I'm watching what I do to her and how I'm thinking about those things to prevent as much conflict.
Right.
You know, why?
I'm not saying duke it out.
Right.
No. We understand.
No. I'm saying, of course,
No boxing.
when it does come,
Right.
you address it.
Right.
You know, sometimes you need to put balm on it. You need to send some medicine to that area that's hurt.
Right.
You know, I need to take back and ask for forgiveness for something that I've said or something that I've done to try to heal and repair, to bring about healthiness. But also, again, the best way that I can remain healthy and stay healthy is to prevent.
Right.
So again, going back to those choices, why make choices that are going to be detrimental to my marriage?
Yeah.
It's common sense. I absolutely love that. You guys, we are over time. I was doing so well. I had a gold star and everything, and now it's gone because we are over time. So we have to take a break for station identification. When we get back, we are going to be continuing our conversation, or I should say wrapping up the latter part of the conversation with the Wyatts, talking about making marriage work. We hope that you've enjoyed the segment so far. We'll be back in just a moment.
Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns about today's show? Would you like to share your testimony or any constructive critiques? Would you like to know how to be a guest on The Simone Edwards Show? Please feel free to email us at thesimoneedwardsshow@gmail.com. We are also available on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. Be sure to follow us to receive updates regarding the show and our other ministries.
All right, we are back here in studio with the Wyatts. We are winding down. We have about 11 minutes left for the show. We have such a good time with you guys in studio. I really think I want to have you back. What? Yeah, I really do. I think I want to have you guys back at some point in 2017. So here's what I want to talk about, and you guys kind of touched on it in the beginning. You have 4 kids.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And they've all grown up.
Sort of.
Which
Almost.
I find rude.
Almost.
Oh, yes, they are growing. Yes.
Growing.
They do that.
They I'm like, wait, I remember you when you were this high.
Right.
So my question for you is, how do you not let parenting overtake your marriage?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, how do you keep that balance to where when they're gone, we still know each other? Or while they're here, we still know each other, because again, it goes back to the foundation of a healthy marriage.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? How do you
want to start? Okay, so
yeah, I'm gonna let you start on that.
Okay.
I'll process it.
Right, it gets rough.
Kids.
I'll tell you that, because you start to question each other. If they really love the kids like you love them. Why are you doing that? Why are you, all that good stuff. But one thing we're still learning, but we've come to realize is that these are God's kids.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And so a lot of the issue or conflict that we might have over our children and parenting them is because we both want what's best for them. We both love them. We just have different methods.
Gotcha.
And so you have to learn. So I'm not just trusting Jason. I'm trusting God.
Right.
Like, okay, God, I really don't agree with how he handled that, but you're in control.
Right.
And so we have to come together, because sometimes it's easy to yell out, punishments, and if you don't, I'm gonna do this, and so we have to pause. Let's come together. Okay, what are we doing?
Right.
And learn to say it's okay to say to our kids, you did X, Y, Z, and we're gonna get back to you on that.
Right.
Instead of acting out of emotion and doing something that's going to cause an issue here.
Right.
Because, whoa, what are you doing?
Right.
So, but I would say one of the biggest things is to really trust God, not just your spouse. Of course, you have to come together. That's a big thing. We have to come together. We have to be on the same page as much as possible. And we have to learn, even in our disagreement, I can't, in my disagreement with you, demonize you. Like, you don't love the kids like I do. You don't, and we can be dramatic, ladies, some of us, some men too, I guess. But, I'm not going to demonize you because you're doing things differently.
Right.
I have to still trust, hey, you love the kids.
Right.
But ultimately to trust God, God, because we might agree and just mess stuff up royally.
Right.
We agree on just abusing the kids. you know,
Right.
Bait 'em.
you know, we could
No.
agree on something that becomes detrimental to them
Right.
just because out of our human error.
Right.
So we have to learn to really trust God in our parenting, and to at the end of the day, they all gonna leave us.
Mm-hmm.
He's all I got
Right.
at the end of the day.
That's good.
So
I won't share that much in regards to that, but again, just while we're being perfected daily and while
Yeah.
we're striving to be like Christ, the same way that He talks to me in my relationship with my wife, He always deals with me as well as a father.
Right.
And just if He needs to check me, He'll check me
yeah,
Right.
that way. And I've had to go to my kids and ask for an apology and how
Wow.
I handled things.
Yeah, ask for forgiveness.
And I know that's a side note, but as far as the relationship, one thing that my wife shared with me that she had heard some time ago about our kids, while we have the privilege of being there in their lives and raising them for the first 20 or so years, it's becoming maybe a little longer, and having this immediate impact in their lives, we're going to be their parents for far longer than that, if the
Yeah,
Lord says the
in their
same,
adulthood.
Right.
in their adulthood. So, that relationship is key. And again, I know that's a side note, and I'm kind of turned the corner
No,
here.
that's actually really good.
But, the relationship is key. So
Right.
certainly listening to him and working through things together with one another. And I love what you shared as well, because we've had to get back and get together and get on the same page as it relates to how we're rearing them.
Right.
And it's not an exact science.
Right.
4 kids, 4 different personalities.
Yeah.
Right.
There is not a one shot fits all. You adjust.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to go back to the point that you made about, because I know if you do it, Tinika, I know you do it as well, is the going back to your children. And I think that, and saying, hey, mom didn't handle that right, dad
Yeah.
didn't handle that right. I think that as you're preparing them for a relationship in the future, you're showing them the kind of person that they want to
Yeah.
be married to.
Right.
You're showing them the kind of person they want to choose to parent.
Right.
Their child
Right.
in the days ahead. So I think
Right.
that's really good. So talk to us really quick. We have about 5 or 6 minutes left for the show. What advice would you give to couples who are somewhere in that 0 to 15-year window about marriage in the time, because you guys have been married for 21 years, and I pray the Lord blesses you with double that to come,
Thank you.
for as long as you live.
Thank you.
No, seriously, I was telling your wife offline, you guys are one of my favorite couples, people I just kind of put in my mind, okay, when that time comes and God delivers me from my fear of commitment, He's working on me, y'all. Who do I want to go to for advice when that time comes? Who do I want to bring into my world at that time to say, okay, help me walk through this step, because I've never been here, and you guys are definitely at the top of the list. So,
Thank you.
what advice do you have for the people who are in ground 0 to 15 years out?
One thing that we learned at a conference early on was to pray regularly together.
That's good.
And it seems like simple advice, oh yeah, all Christians pray. But there's something that happens when you pray for one another. And when I am calling out His name, and not, a prayer about not just us coming together and we're praying for the church, we're praying for the kids, but no, I'm praying for you, and you're
Right.
praying for me, because now I'm invested in you.
Right.
I am praying a specific prayer for you, and I'm an active part of that process of seeing it to fruition.
Right.
I'm believing God to do this for you. And so I would
You're
say,
hearing out loud as well.
Yeah.
Hey, someone has your back. Someone's interceding for you.
Right.
Someone's encouraging, seeking
Yeah.
the Father
Yeah.
on your
Right.
behalf. That's wonderful to hear.
Right.
I get stronger. feel
right,
stronger.
it does create a spiritual connection. I almost caution people who are not married yet,
Right.
against that kind of intimacy.
Right.
Because it does connect you, especially when you're praying regularly like that. And so that's one main thing that I would say.
Okay.
And I would also say to not hide anything.
That's good.
Be honest.
That's good.
I have a few things to tell you after this.
Confession is good for the soul. And I'll be bringing out the oil the next time I pray for this one here. I would say keep working.
Yeah.
I have a pretty little analogy I like to share.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on our backyard right now. It's our quote unquote little garden. And I've been working on it for some time. And I know what I've been doing. We have this one plant where I've been getting poked by it, trying to pull off dead leaves, trying to, shape it up, and working on removing bushes and working on pulling down dead leaves and raking and doing a whole lot of stuff. And, I'll ask my wife, hey, how are things going? And she'll say, what are you doing? I don't notice any difference. I know what I've been doing to work to make it beautiful, to make it better. God knows what I've been doing.
Yeah.
Right.
So sometimes the work that you're putting in, the sacrifices that you're making, you're praying in secret, picking up an extra job, whatever it may be to make your relationship work, keeping your mouth closed a little bit longer, it may not always get recognized immediately.
That's good.
Others may look at it and say, you know what, you guys have it going on. Your garden is beautiful. And others may say, you know what, that's ain't nothing to that. They don't have much, but you know what you've been doing as an individual.
Right.
And as you continue to work and strive to be better, to improve yourself, to listen to the Father, it'll help you to be a better husband, a better wife, a better father, a better mother, a better servant. And just keep working at it. Whether you see the immediate results or not, just keep working. Don't give up. It's easy to make the choice, and I don't want to say easy. Bible talks about the way of a transgressor being hard.
Right.
But sometimes we jump ship.
Sometimes we jump ship too soon.
Right.
If we believe in the resurrected Christ,
That's
if we believe that
Amen.
He can get up from the dead, He can pull a marriage together that's broken.
That's so good.
He can, if He can forgive us for our sin,
Right.
we should be able to forgive each other.
That's really good.
For some of the offenses that we cause. And so I'm grateful because, again, He shows me His love daily through this woman. And I'm grateful to be a part of this journey with her.
Oh, that is awesome. All right, you guys, we have come to the end of our Love and Relationship series. It is every second Saturday of the month. Next month, we are going to have Elise Rodriguez in studio. This is for the Love and Relationship series. And so one of the things that God put on my heart for this series is to really strengthen marriage, because the Bible says that marriage is honorable and the bed undefiled. So we had Elise in about 2 months ago, and we talked about why married sex is the best sex. We're actually going to develop, I'm going to take her word for it. We're going to actually develop a series called The Psychology of Sex. And really what we want to do, it's not graphic. We just want to free some of our constituents in their mind so that they can enjoy the fruit of marriage and the marriage bed and enjoy each other, because it tends to be one of the things that gets overlooked in the day-to-day grind, and it was actually created to bond the man and the woman together. So look forward to that next month. Elise Rodriguez will be right here in this chair. If you have enjoyed anything that you heard today and you're in the San Diego area, the Simone Edwards Show is a gift from God and myself and my program manager. We actually have a church that we attend that is Perfecting Grace. It is located at 3142 East Plaza Boulevard in National City. Our Sunday services begin at 9 a.m. If you're in the San Diego area and you do not have a church home, we invite you to come on out. If you have enjoyed the Wyatts and you want to connect with them, or maybe hook up at their church and say, hey, we want to talk to you some more. Maybe, have them become your mentors or your counselors. So I'm giving you guys work. I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's all right.
But where do you all go to church, and how can they get in touch with you?
Epic Encounters Church, 2 o'clock Sunday afternoons, 810. Is it 810 Buena Vista Way? Right
Chula
off of H
Vista.
Street in Chula Vista.
Excellent. And we also have North Park Apostolic Church, which is here in the city of Lemon Grove, where the station owner of KTAV, Bill, goes. So there's a lot of options for you here in San Diego. Definitely get connected. The tagline for our show is simply sharing stories, celebrating lives, and glorifying God. And we want God to be glorified in your marriage. So have a great rest of your Saturday, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Peace.